But you got all the I got just his name, 18 million. I know it's some with James. So I took the phone. So when I introduced it, I said, I'm a local.
Okay, we video. We live now.
Do you have the video?
Video
For, there's a Transmit. Who is Transmit TCK? Apparently, there's a video. Was it sent to you?
What? What video? Yeah.
It's a much faster USB. This is a faster USB.
Okay, you hold on to this one. Wait. Okay, so it's this one.
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't save as a video.
We lose anything else? Order.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. Is it on the group? How are you doing?
I can send it in the group.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really only testing the sound system. Can you all hear very clearly?
Yeah.
To the corner? Yes. We will start in a few minutes. One or two technical issues. We asked the Tanchikun family to give us a video so that we continue to be educated about who this first generation Malaysian was, who did so much for the country and we have forgotten him. So we do the Tanchikun lectures in memory of that. And that video is just now being uploaded. So we'll start soon as the video is available. Thank you.
Yeah, excuse me, can you look up the speakers table? Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I will go over that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a day when the women are marching from Sogo to Dataran. Yeah, today we are marching. They started leaving there at 9 a.m. They're supposed to reach here at 10 a.m. I'm glad we are in the aircon comfort. Okay. My wife told me, KJ, you need to realize that you're already 73 years old. You're still doing things like as if you're 35 years old. So if there are any shortages in what we're doing today, please excuse dementia and everything else you can blame. Okay, we are ready to go. The first order of business is we need to understand who Tanchikun was and why does OMSI organize a lecture on Tanchikun, named after him. Why did we do that? So we have invited one member of the family to just say in a few minutes who their father was. So please enjoy and understand who Tanchikun was. Thank you.
Very good evening. I think I think his life is somewhat well. Hi, very good evening. I thank Dr. K.J. John and the board of OMSI for organizing this talk. in a series of commemorating my late father, Tan Sri Dr. Tan Chi Kun. My name is Dr. Tan Chi Kwong. I think his life is summed up well in an autobiography from village boy to Mr. Opposition. My late father came from a very poor family in Cheras. His father was a farmer. But despite all these odds and having lost one eye in the unfortunate traffic incident, he overcame many, many odds. My late father's life can be summed up in 3 phases: being a doctor, being a member of parliament, and an author without fear of favor. And he believed very passionately in the value of education. He was a loving husband. My late mother is Kuan Sri Liu Fung Yi, and a loving father to 3 sons and 3 daughters. I think the most important thing my father passed on to all of us, to his friends, and to the nation at large is values. Some of the values that he stressed was hard work, being humble, value for money, honesty, integrity, and being a responsible opposition. Where the government did well, he praised it, but he criticized severely when things were not well. So with these parting words, I wish Aung San all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the 3rd in a series of Tan Chi Kun lectures. The first was given by Dato' Ambiga. The second was given by Mariam Mokhtar. We flew her down from London to give the lecture. Today is the 3rd lecture. And Dato' Sri Hishamuddin will give the lecture. But before that, I want to get you all a bit loosened up a bit through my version of socialization. Okay, my version. How many of you have seen this book? No, not that. The one on the table is not the first book. This is the second book. All of you on the table can take a free copy. There are 10 copies on each table. It's for you. Okay? Feel free to take a copy. If you want to take 2, please go ahead and do it. Just make sure you give it to somebody who will read it, not go in the trash can. I need a brave volunteer to come and tell me what they see on the picture of this book. Any brave volunteer? You get the book after that. It's out of print, so there's one chance to get a book. Any volunteers? Come, please. I see a hand up there. Thank you. Thank you very much. You have to say what you see on the cover of the book.
Alamak, oh in God's name. Lagi apa ni? KJ John. I see Malaysia is the most beautiful country in the world.
Okay. We got a few other books to give away. Who came from the furthest location to come here today? Sabah. You actually flew in from Sabah. Okay, come and get it.
Wow. Just Sabah or Sabah?
He said he flew in from Kota Kinabalu. That's my assumption.
Yeah.
So you win a book. How come? He said he's got it on the table, so it's another extra copy. Okay, let me quickly say, why did I write this book? It was not, I wrote columns for 13 years, weekly in Malaysia Kini and didn't get paid for it, okay? I chose to write free. But then after all the controversies that were going on in the country, when they banned the word Allah, except for Sabah and Sarawak, my retort was Alamak. And after my retort, Kamala became vice president of, which is the reverse order of the United States, okay? I have, we all somewhat Shakespearean, so a rose by any other smell is the same, right? So we are debating over who Almighty is. And we're still quarreling over it in many different ways. So I just told you a bit. 4 others who wrote with me are Zaina Anwar, Marina Mahathir, Tunku Abdul Mukris, and Azmi Sharaf. They wrote independently their views about the issue, Allah issue. And it coincided with my view. With their permission, I published it. So who wants the second copy for free? Please, come to get it. Okay, on your table, there are Alamat 2. Okay, look at the cover and tell me, anybody who tells me what is it is portrayed by Reza, Fahmi Reza, who drew the artwork, okay? Yes. What is it I'm trying to portray on the cover? Just give me a sentence. Yes, please.
Oh, it's a beautiful Malaysia, but the other part of Malaysia is suffering.
Thank you.
Injustices. Thank you.
Beautiful Malaysia, but other part is wilting.
Yeah.
The other half of the is wilting. So the wilting problem is still here with us. We're still wilting, okay?
Yeah.
The unity government is trying to unite us, but we are not yet united. Who has been to Tan Chee Koon lecture 1, 2, and today the third one? Anybody? Wow. Both Krishna and Natin Padukar, Kamala are good friends from Lake Club, although Lake Club kicked us out from hosting this event. Okay, who is the youngest person in the room? What's your age, man?
What's your age? 23.
23. Anybody younger than 23? Oh, even younger. 22. Oh, another one. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna ask you the oldest now.
How old? 20. Okay, all three, 20, 21, 22.
Thank you.
You know, I'm a grandfather and we have 2 grandchildren here and 4 others elsewhere. I told my oldest grandson, do you know your name is mentioned in the book? He couldn't believe it. So I said, look at chapter 40 in book 1. He read and he had tears rolling down his eyes. I was touched by that. So I gave him a personal copy yesterday, signed by grandpa, okay? But what was it that he was touched about? Before my dad passed in 96, short of 1 month short of 97. He was a proud Sungai Petani. He stood for election in 1953 for local council and got elected for town area of Sungai Petani. Very proud Malaysian, okay? He sold medicine to Mahathir for 12 years. All of that, he was a pharmacist, so for 12 years they did business together. Even that is documented in a book. So, as a proud Malaysian, we must understand the history of this country, not just postulating fake theory histories, but understanding the real history. You know, so I get very upset when anybody calls me pendatang. I didn't datang from anywhere. I was datang from Sungai Tani. My parents, maybe you can call them pendatang. I'm willing to accept that. Because my dad came at age 19 from India. But you call me pendatang, you sort of melampau. Okay, kena tampal. So, I really want to see young people reading more. So, 2 more books, who wants? This is not the formal part, it's just a gift giving session. Please.
Yeah, again.
Okay, folks, now I'm going to say something before we, Dr. Sri Shamuddin to give his full lecture, okay?
Yeah.
I need my help of Batu Jai, who is my son-in-law, and his dad, Dato Victor is also here, his dad from Terengganu. And brother, Dato Stanley is also here, Stanley Isaac. For those who know them, Dato Stanley was the DPP under Tan Sri Abu Talib, I think. Okay, I'm just going to take a few minutes to give my simplified version of my complex ideas, okay? I dumbed it down and 1 or 2 good friends told me it's okay, acceptable. So I, from my work and doing my doctoral thesis on dignity in the workplace, I came to what I call the ACE paradigm. We all belong to a place. We all belong to a place. Kalau you datang dari Sungai Tani, you are orang Sungai Tani. You come Kolakangsa, you are orang Kolakangsa. You are orang Sibu. We also have spaces. This is a new word that came out with internet. The place is a place, but the space is bigger than a place. So we are all on the internet, we are all on WhatsApp, that's our spaces. Now, can you break the law in spaces? Our police says you can. You send a not so friendly note about something that's not true, they may charge you. Because under Multimedia Act, we allow for any kind of communication to be recorded. The third is faces. Air muka. In all of the East, face is a big issue. Face is dignity in a simple definition. So all I'm saying in this 3x3 matrix is, there's a place and there's a public place, there are public places. So if I go to Kota Baru, Kelantan, and I'm waiting with Tunku Mahale to say, come, Tan Sri Tunku Mahale is a good friend, first college mate. I go there, I want to wear shorts in Kota Baru and see why should they arrest me? It's a public place. It's a public place. Why should they arrest me if I wear shorts? Ladies, you can quarrel now, indecent, this, that. But a guy wears shorts, okay, well. Social spaces. There are a lot of social spaces. But in Lake Club, they believe that this event is too political. So they didn't allow us to host it there. So this is the second time RSC Dataran is more mature than the other art. I said, maybe you have better leadership in RSC, okay? Maybe they all came from the other side. And then you have private places, right? The individual. In my home, this actually happened. Somebody accidentally drove a car into our yard, broke the fence, and turned turtle and landed upside down in our yard. And within 1 hour, all the tow trucks in PJ were there. They see a business opportunity, okay? They want to tow out the car. All the 3 ladies were fine. 2 were dating, the other, they were all fine. Nothing happened to them. Kalisa, it's a good car. You want to go turn turtle. So they all tolong and got out. Then all the tow trucks, some of them came into my house. I told them, who gave you all permission to walk into my neighborhood, into my house? This is my home. They looked at me, Sergeant, simply say Sergeant. I said, call the sergeant here. You get out of my house until the sergeant comes. Told them to leave. Serious. They left. When the sergeant came, I told the sergeant, don't come into my house. You don't need to come in. You just need to report the problem. Problem is the Kalisa is lying in my ground floor level. You just need to, but when you bring a tow truck, all these little one-time tow trucks will fall inside. I don't need 2 cars parked in my. So please bring a 3-ton tow truck, tow the car out, but don't break my blue pine branches while you tow it up. It's not unreasonable, but they did it well. And it so happened in those days, I was still connected. I called my friend in Bangalore and said, I don't even want insurance to come here, just pay. We didn't move. They moved, they jumped into our house. It's all their problem, nothing to do with us. And I got fully paid for it. So the point is, these are not artificial constructs. They are real constructs. Space, rule of law spaces. That's what we're going to debate today and understand. Discretionary enforcement of rules. We've called it Dua Darja in the country. Some offenses you see, other offenses you don't see. I don't know why. Private personal spaces of conscience. Siti Kasim is here, she's very outspoken, she's a speaker today. But she speaks with her conscience and she speaks on behalf of Orang Asli. Nothing wrong with that. She's arguing their case. She's a lawyer, called to the bar. I'm called to the other bar. So while we need to understand cultural sensitivities, it cannot reach the level of Malampau. Okay? I'm serious. If somebody publicly calls me Pandatan, I'm ready to take them to court. Not because I think lawyers are so good, because I think a lot of lawyers also compromise on settlements. But because it's a violation of my dignity, my faith. I have no other country to migrate to. I'm born Malaysian, I hope to die Malaysian. So please don't tell me otherwise. I am a proud RMC boy who learned how to shoot also. Yeah. Shared common guidelines. We need shared common guidelines for all our shared spaces. And then we need citizenship is cultural right thinking. We need to improve the thinking. So that's just a framework, okay, to help as Dr. Sri Shamsuddin gives a lecture. I hope we can make more sense. With that, allow me to do one more small protocol thing before we invite Dr. Sri Shamsuddin. There are 2 living SPs in the room with us. What is an SP? I should have kept one more book to do this. No. This is the highest award in Malaysia called the Victoria Cross equivalent. And protocol-wise, it's higher than even the Sultan. The award, okay? Protocol-wise. We have 2 living SPs here today. Can I invite them to stand? Just stand. Dr. Paul Young and Corporal Itin. Corporal Itin is an imam. Yesterday they were recognized and I want to invite them. Dr. Daniel Malagopal, who gave up his seat in 47 and we're still angry with him. Come. He will say a few words and then they have to run up to the airport, one of them. So we'll just recognize them, give them a gift, and then they can leave. Please.
Can I just speak from here? Right, John didn't to explain what SP is all about. It's Sri Pahlawan Gaga Perkasa, in short SP. This is the Supreme Gallantry Award in the country. And at the moment, there are only 5 living souls who are recipients of this award. And we are very proud and glad to have 2 of them amongst us here, but the other 3 couldn't come. We had a video conference yesterday, last evening, with the press. We managed to get 2 of them there. Very briefly, Dato' Paul Keong joined the police in 1964. Okay? He was awarded the SP for an incident. Well, he was one of the pioneers who actually penetrated into the communist organization. And he lived with them for almost 6 years. Very dangerous life. But he, after in 1983, the incident in Perak, one of the very serious incidents where he was recognized and awarded the SP. The next is Etim. Etim Bijam is from Miri. We flew in yesterday all the way from Miri to give some form of recognition because these are the forgotten souls. Etim's award was given in 1973. He was a corporal and 86 years old. Said to say that he started hearing and also can at least speak well. So he is here with us. His daughter actually accompanied him all the way. So these two gentlemen, I feel, should be given a due recognition by people like-minded people like us. Even though the nation is more not forgotten, they are getting their allowances, which is way backdated 2000, I think. Well, don't know how many years has never been reviewed. Okay? So this is one of the problems of all veterans today. Okay? No, the recognition is short of coming. Okay, it's sad, but it's a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Paul and Etim.
My good friend, last name, Dr. Dennis Ignatius is on the same table. He's just handing over a gift to both of them because Couple Etim has to take leave. He's flying back. So can you just hand over the gifts to both of them? Thank you. Thank you, both of them. Thank you for serving the country and being injured in the process. Either you or your colleagues have paid with their lives. Thank you. Okay, now with this preliminaries out of the way, I get the privilege of inviting Dato Sri Hishamuddin Yunus, retired judge from the appeals court. People have strong views, about Dato Sri Hishamuddin. But I don't know him personally until he told me when the last time we invited him to give a lecture and hosted him for lunch. He said, KJ, we met many years ago, you don't remember. I said, yeah, I genuinely don't. How could I have met you? He said, oh, Malay College RMC games. I came as a 17-year-old boy to play tennis. You were RMC tennis captain, non-playing tennis captain, but tennis captain. So it was a privilege to meet him like that. And now today is my privilege to invite him to give us the lecture. The lecture will go for about 40 minutes. So please take the time. It will be on PowerPoint. You can follow the lecture. Then we'll have the respondents. With that, may I invite Dr. Sri Hishamuddin Yunus to come and give his lecture. You can put your hand up.
Thank you, Dr. KJ John. Distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very good morning. First and foremost, I wish to congratulate OHMSR Sinar Berhad in partnership with Gabungan Bertindak Malaysia for organizing this third Tan Chee Koon lecture on the topic, the nation contours of federal constitution, negotiating between the sacred and the regular. I also like to thank the organizer for their kindness
in inviting me to deliver today's talk on this interesting subject. I regard it as an honor to be so invited. At the outset, I wish to express my appreciation to the Federal Court for its recent landmark judgment in the Nick Allen's petition in declaring that several provisions of the Kelantan Syariah Code enactment of 2019 are null and void
Someone saying they
for
can't
being
hear
in
anything.
violation of the federal
Can't
constitution.
hear. Who's it? Can you just check
The
the-
federal court
You just
has
said this.
held that the enactment of these provisions by the Kelantan government had transgressed into the legislative powers of the federation. I salute the two public spirited citizens concerned, namely Puan Nick Allen Zurina Nick Abdul Rashid and her daughter, Tengku Yasmin Natasha, Tengku Abdul Rahman. Who I believe are referred here this morning for their courage and initiative in filing the petition and challenging the constitutionality of the provisions of the enactment before the federal court pursuant to Article 4 of the Federal Constitution. The judgment of the federal court illustrates the fundamental principle that our federal constitution is supreme. Every organ of government, be it state or federal, must abide by the Constitution. As citizens, we all have what we call our basic fundamental rights. One of these rights is a fundamental right to freedom of religion. This right, like other fundamental rights, is enshrined in our Constitution, which we call the Federal Constitution. Firstly, there is Article 11, Clause 1 of the Constitution that provides a code. Every person has the right to profess and to practice his or her religion and to propagate it. Secondly, there is Article 3 of the Constitution that provides that a code. Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a multiracial, multi-religious, and multicultural nation. Malaysia has a population of 32.2 million, according to the 2019 estimate. According to the most recent census, 61.3% of the population practices Islam. 19.8% practices Buddhism. 9.2% practices Christianity. 6.3% practices Hinduism. And 1.3% practices Confucianism, Taoism, or traditional Chinese philosophies and other religions. Other religious groups include animists, Sikhs, Jehovah's Witnesses, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the Baha'is. It is important to note that 2/3 of the country's Christian population inhabit the East Malaysian state of Sabah and Sarawak. In these states, they are the majority. Freedom of religion or belief including the ability to worship in peace and security, is not only our personal right, it is also a universal human right. It is enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and also in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, among other key human rights documents. Ladies and gentlemen, discriminations against religious and belief communities, as with all forms of discrimination, causes suffering, spreads division, and contributes to a climate of fear, intolerance, and stigmatization. Islam is declared to be the religion of the Federation. Article 3 of the Federal Constitution provides Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. It is important to bear in mind that although Islam is the religion of the Federation, our Constitution is supreme. What this means is that the practices of the religion of Islam, as well as that of other religions, are subject to the provisions of the Federal Constitution. This principle is enshrined in Article 3, Clause 4 of the Federal Constitution. I shall elaborate on important principles shortly. Now, on the quest, is Malaysia an Islamic state or a secular state? It is important to stress here that unlike the Constitution of Pakistan, which declares that Pakistan is an Islamic state, our Constitution does not declare that Malaysia is an Islamic state. It is also important to point out that unlike the Constitution of India, that declares in the preamble that India is a secular state, our Constitution does not have a preamble declaring that Malaysia is a secular state. If you were to go by population, since 60% of Malaysians are Muslims, it can be said that Malaysia is in a sense an Islamic country. But the true test is not based on the percentage of Muslim population. In order to determine whether Malaysia is an Islamic theocracy or a secular state, the appropriate question that should be asked is this, and this is the pertinent question. Whether the government of Malaysia is run on Islamic principles, or whether the Constitution of Malaysia is based on Islamic principles, or whether the laws of Malaysia are based on Islamic principles. If these questions are asked, then clearly the answer is a resounding no. Therefore, Malaysia, in this sense, is not an Islamic state. Is this a secular state? Although not declared to be secular state in the preamble. In fact, our Constitution does not have a preamble at all. At present, there's a possible lack of appreciation among some Malaysians that Malaysia is a secular state and not a theocratic Islamic state. This is to some extent due to the fact, and rather unfortunately, that the issue has been politicized by our political leaders. For example, in 2001, the then Prime Minister Tun Mahathir Mohamad declared that Malaysia was an Islamic state. He said this at the Gerakan Party annual delegates conference in that year. Let me say at the outset that this is a mere political statement and nothing more than that. With respect to the then Prime Minister, such a statement, although meant to be political, should not have been made, as it may cause, and indeed it has caused, unnecessary confusion among Malaysians. Ladies and gentlemen, forgive me for being repetitious here. Although Islam is declared to be the religion of the Federation, Malaysia is a secular state. This is clearly pointed out by the Reid Commission charged with the task of drafting our constitution in 1957, is what the report says. Quote, in the memorandum submitted by the Alliance Party, it was stated the religion of Malaya shall be Islam. The observance of this principle shall not impose any disability on non-Muslim nationals professing and practicing their own religion. And this is important, and shall not imply that the state is not a secular state. Note the double negative, right? That Malaysia is a secular state was reiterated by our first Prime Minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman, in a speech in 1959 before the Federal Legislative Council. I quote, I would like to make it clear that this country is not an Islamic state as it's generally understood. We merely provided that Islam shall be the official religion of the state. Now I come to case law. In the 1988 Supreme Court, in the case of Sheikh Omar bin Sheikh So against public prosecutor, the Supreme Court was moved to interpret Article 3 in an appeal against a death sentence for drug trafficking and possession of firearms. The counsel for the appellant contended that since Islam is the religion of the Federation as declared by Article 3, and that the federal constitution is the supreme law of the country, the imposition of the death penalty was unconstitutional, being contrary to Islamic injunction. Now, what did the federal court say? The court rejected this argument, holding that the development of the law by the British in Malaya had the effect of transforming the legal system into a secular one, and that the constitutional declaration that Islam is a religion of the Federation did not mean that laws passed by Parliament must be imbued with Islamic religious principles. For to hold otherwise would be contrary to the constitutional and legal history of the Federation, and also to the Civil Law Act of 1956 that provides for the reception of English common law in this country. In the recent case of Nick and Lin, and against the state of Plan, the federal court again reiterated that Malaysia is a secular state. On the question of Malaysia as a secular state, I now will touch upon the pertinent provisions of our Constitution. In 2019, at a presentation in Sarawak, organized by the Dayak National Congress, I alluded to the federal constitution and I highlighted 10 features that uphold Malaysia's position as a secular state. There are, namely, first feature, while Islam is declared to be the religion of the Federation, the Constitution stipulates that its position is subject to the provisions on fundamental liberties, citizenship, the separation of the legislative executive and judicial powers, federal-state relations, finances, public services, etc., etc. Second feature, the Constitution proclaims itself to be the supreme law of the Federation as opposed to the holy book of any religion. Third feature, the Constitution does not create a head of religion of Islam for Malaysia. Fourth feature, the Constitution guarantees the rule of law and separation of powers. That's to say, nations' laws are made, executed upon, and interpreted by three secular institutions, namely Parliament, the executive is the cabinet, and the courts. Fifth feature, the Constitution confirms that decisions in Parliament are made by a majority, a basic feature of democracies and not that of theocracies. Sixth feature, the Constitution regards code written law and code common law as the applicable laws in Malaysia. Substantive Islamic law is not considered law under the present legal framework. It must be legislated upon. Seventh feature, the creation of key religious authorities, that is the Majlis Agama, the Mufti, and the Sharia courts, are all pursuant to laws by a secular institution, that is the State Legislative Assembly. The eighth feature, all ministers of cabinet, members of the House of Parliament, and judges take an oath of office which requires them to quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution as opposed to any religion. Feature number 9. The Constitution guarantees freedom of religion for all persons. Finally, feature number 10. There is no religious qualification with respect to office or officers in government. Thus, a person of any religious affiliation can be a member of the legislature, a member of the executive or judiciary in Malaysia. Even a non-Muslim can be the Prime Minister. I now touch upon the opinion of scholars on Malaysia's system of governance. Professor R.H. Tickling, a professor learned in Malaysian laws, writes, quote, as a general proposition, Muslim law cannot be regarded as the law of the land. Islam is indeed the religion of the Federation, just as the Protestant Church is the established Church of England. But in each case, the state is a secular state. And it is wise to keep religion out of law, as well as out of politics, for the two mix ill. If the personal declaration that Islam is a religion of the Federation does not mean that laws passed by Parliament must be imbued with Islamic principles, then what does the word quote, Islam is the religion of the Federation, unquote, mean? The learned authors on the Constitution of Malaysia, Sheridan and Groves, are of the opinion that the words may impose an obligation on the participants in any federal ceremonial to regulate any religious parts of the ceremony according to Muslim rites. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia is a federation of 13 states. Under the Malaysia Agreement of 1963, Sabah and Sarawak estates enjoy special status. According to the Federal Constitution, anything concerning the Islamic religion is a state matter. What this means is that only the state legislatures could make laws on matters pertaining to Islam. The Parliament of the Federation could not make such laws except in respect of the federal territories. In Malaysia, we have three types of courts. First, the civil courts. Number two, the Sharia courts. And number three, the native courts of Sabah and Sarawak. However, for the purpose of this talk, I will not be touching on the native courts of Sabah and Sarawak. The superior courts, namely the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Federal Court, are directly established under the provisions of the Federal Constitution. They are established under Part 9 of the Constitution. However, the Sharia courts are not directly established under the provisions of the Federal Constitution. They are merely established under the respective state laws pursuant to the state list under the ninth schedule of the Constitution. According to the state list, the state legislatures, besides having the power to establish courts, are also empowered to legislate on Islam in regard to such matters as succession, marriage, divorce, maintenance, adoption, legitimacy, guardianship, wakaf, religious trust, zakat, mosque, and the creation and punishment of offenses by person professing the religion of Islam against precepts of Islam. Significantly, the state list stipulates that the Sharia court is to have jurisdiction only over persons professing the religion of Islam and in respect only on matters that have been enumerated under the state list and legislated upon by state laws. However, there is yet another restriction embedded somewhere in state 1 of the Federal Constitution, in the state list, in item 1 of the state list of the Federal Constitution is a provision that says that Sharia court, take note, Sharia court has no jurisdiction to deal with Islamic enactment offenses unless the Sharia court has been conferred by federal law to deal with such offenses. This means that in the absence of federal law conferring jurisdiction on the Sharia, when someone is charged with an Islamic law offenses, he or she cannot be dealt with by the Sharia court, but must be dealt with by the civil court, such as the magistrate courts or the sessions courts. Yeah. Now I come to Article 121, Clause 1A of the Federal Constitution. On 10 June 1988, there was a significant constitutional development. Parliament amended Article 121 of the Federal Constitution by inserting a new clause, namely Clause 1A. 1A says, the courts referred to in Clause 1 of Article 121 shall have no jurisdiction in respect of any matter within the jurisdiction of the Sharia courts. What is the need for inserting Clause 1A into Article 121? What is the implication of this amendment? The late Tan Sri Professor Ahmad Ibrahim, in his essay titled "The Amendment to Article 121 of the Federal Constitution, Its Effect on the Administration of Islamic Law," state, I quote, "One important effect of the amendment is to avoid for the future any conflict between the decisions of the Sharia courts and the civil courts, which had occurred in a number of cases before. However, the learned professor went on to clarify, I quote, "The Sharia courts shall only have jurisdiction over persons professing the religion of Islam and respect only of the matters included in the paragraph. The Sharia courts will therefore not have jurisdiction where one of the parties involved is a non-Muslim. For example, in a case of custody of children, if the mother is a non-Muslim, but the father is a Muslim, the matter can still be brought to the civil court and disposed of therein, and not before the Sharia. Ladies and gentlemen, this clause 1A of Article 121 has at times been misunderstood by some lawyers, and with respect, even by some judges. These lawyers and judges are under the misconception that any dispute between parties having an Islamic law element in it must be resolved at the Sharia court and not at the civil courts. Constitutionally, this is not intended to be the case. At the extent of repetition, I see here again that the Sharia court, if has jurisdiction only one over persons professing the religion of Islam, and number two, in respect only of the matters that have been enumerated under the state list, and pursuant to which jurisdiction has been conferred by the Sharia court by state laws, and where appropriate by federal law. Further, the High Court case of Qadar Shah, and quite recently, the Federal Court case of Indira Gandhi and the Federal Court case of Iki Putra Mubarak have made it clear that notwithstanding Article 121(1)(a), the decisions of the Sharia courts are subject to judicial review by the civil courts. I repeat, the decision of the Sharia courts are subject to judicial review by the civil courts. I shall take this opportunity to say a bit more on the case of Indira Gandhi. I take the view that our secular system of government is one of the basic structures of the nation constitution. The case of Indira Gandhi concerns a Hindu couple, a man and a wife, with 3 children. Several years into the marriage, the couple's relationship soured. Husband left, converted to Islam, and took physical custody of the youngest child, who was 11 months old then. He then took steps to convert the children to Islam. The conversion was registered by the Perak Jabatan Agama Islam. The wife sought to set aside the conversion in judicial review proceedings on the grounds that the conversion was not in accordance with the procedure as prescribed by the relevant enactment of Perak. The High Court granted the relief sought and set aside the conversions, and in my view, rightly. However, unfortunately, the Court of Appeal by majority reversed the decision on the ground that the ordinary courts had no jurisdiction to deal with the subject matter of the review. It held that the matter was within the executive exclusive province of the Sharia court. On further appeal, the federal court reversed the decision of the Court of Appeal and restored the decision of the High Court. Significantly, in its ruling, the federal court restored the full judicial power of the judiciary, which was purportedly removed by Parliament through an amendment to the Constitution in 1988. Although the rulings made by the federal court do not specifically say that fortunately Malaysia is a secular state, nonetheless, in my view, the rulings impliedly further entrench the constitutional position that Malaysia is a secular nation. Now I will take a bold step further to contend that in view of the adoption of the doctrine of basic structure taken by the federal court in Indira Gandhi and in other subsequent cases like Dinesh, there is no possibility of our parliament amending the federal constitution to turn Malaysia from a secular state into an Islamic state, even if Parliament had given the two-thirds majority. For to do so would affect a basic structure of the federal constitution. The basic structure being that Malaysia is a secular state. That must be the necessary implication of the judgment in Indira Gandhi and other subsequent judgments of the federal court. Ladies and gentlemen, on the last part of my lecture today, I will give some challenges to freedom of religion in Malaysia. First, on the right to propagate one's religion. Although Article 11, Clause 1 of the Constitution provides the freedom of religion or belief of Malaysia, Article 11, Clause 4 of the same has the effect of limiting proselytization. Article 11, Clause 4 provides state law in respect of the territories of Kuala Lumpur, Labuan, and Putrajaya federal law may control or restrict the propagation of any religious doctrine or belief among persons professing the religion of Islam. It is important to note that the clause does not empower the state legislature to make laws to prohibit the propagation of a non-Muslim religion among Muslims. It only empowers the state legislature to control or restrict the propagation of a non-Muslim religion among Muslims. Do note that the words used are control or restrict and not prohibit. However, in reality, state laws do not merely control or restrict the propagation of a non-Muslim religion among Muslims. In reality, state laws do prohibit the propagation of non-Muslim religion among Muslims. In my respectful view, such laws need to be reviewed as to their constitutionality, as such laws appear to be inconsistent with the provision of Clause 4, Article 11. Now I come across on the issue, I turn to the issue of the right of a Muslim to convert to other religion. Constantly, can a Muslim person convert to another religion? This is a controversial and sensitive question in Malaysia, especially among the Muslims. Article 11 clause 1 provides every person has the right to profess and practice his religion subject to clause 4 to propagate it. It does not provide exception for Muslims. Every person, says every person, Muslim and non-Muslim. In my opinion, by virtue of clause 1 of Article 4, a person, including a Muslim, has the right to practice any religion of his choice, including the right to change his religion. Indeed, under the same clause 1, a person has also the right to be an atheist. Let's say a non-believer of any religion. In Malaysia, when a Muslim person renounces his religion and embraces another religion, he is said to commit the sin of irtidad or murtad, that is apostasy. Among Muslims, committing apostasy or murtad is unthinkable. It is a big sin. It strikes at the root of the faith or aqidah. He will be asked to repent. Therefore, to the Muslim community, the subject of murtad or apostasy is a highly sensitive subject. In some states, Islamic law enactments, apostasy or irtidad is an offense and punishable with imprisonment or fine. I wish to make it clear, unless I be misunderstood, that as a Muslim, I appreciate the sensitivity of the subject of apostasy, and that for a Muslim person like myself, or for the Muslim community to renounce Islam, the Islamic faith, is a big no, as that is against the tenets of the faith. As a Muslim, I subscribe to the belief of my faith, Islam. However, I also wish to make clear in my talk this morning before you, distinguished audience, that I'm not discussing the subject of apostasy from a theological standpoint, but I'm here to discuss the subject of apostasy purely from a personal law point of view. The sacred must be distinguished from the secular. Some state enactments prohibit a Muslim person from believing the religion of Islam. If he or she does not renounce the religion of Islam, he or she is said to commit the offense of apostasy and is punishable by imprisonment or fine. The question is such a provision consistent with Article 11, clause 1 of the Federal Constitution? In my opinion, it is not. It is not. In my view, such a provision is a violation of Article 11, clause 1. In my personal view, the constitutionality of such state enactments needs to be reviewed. I now touch upon the Shia Islam issue. The prohibition of practicing Shia Islam has been a concern in Malaysia for some time now. In Malaysia, the Muslims are Sunni Muslims, opposite to Shia Muslims. Although Malaysia maintains good diplomatic relations with Iran and other Islamic countries that practice Shia Islam, over the years, many Shia followers have been arrested for merely attending close religious gatherings. The treatment intensified noticeably following the fatwa issued in 1996 by the National Fatwa Committee for Religious Affairs. recognizing Sunni Islam as the permitted form of Islam in Malaysia, and imposing a prohibition on the propagation or professing of Shia beliefs, including the distribution of any electronic or print resources. This has contributed to the negative experience of the community. All these negative attitudes toward the adherence of Shia Islam are difficult to reconcile with religious freedom as guaranteed by our constitution. It's also difficult to reconcile with the fact that Malaysia is a party to the Amman Declaration of 2004 that recognizes Shia Jafri and Shia Zaidi as two of the 8 recognized Islamic practices. For the Amman Declaration's endorsement, Malaysia's declaration was led by no less than a person than the then Prime Minister, Tun Abdullah Patel. I come to the last issue now. Prohibition on the use of the word Allah by non-Muslims. Recently, in the landmark case of Jill Ireland, the High Court quashed the Home Minister's Directive of 1986 and that imposed a total ban on the use of the word Allah in all Christian publications in Malaysia. The learned judge, Justice Norby, courageously ruled that the minister, in making such a ban, had acted illegally and beyond the limits of his powers under the law. The court made a finding of fact that there was no evidence that the use of the word Allah in Christian publications had led to public disorder. The court further ruled that the 1986 directive was, quote, perverse and irrational, unquote. Jill Ireland is a Christian from Sarawak. She's a Malay-speaking Sarawakian Bumiputra Christian of the Melanau ethnicity. She uses the Malay language Bible called Al-Kitab, which contains the word Allah to refer to God. In May 2008, 8 Christian educational CDs belonging to her, which contain the word Allah in their titles, were confiscated by a custom officer at the Ministry of Home Affairs. This confiscation was carried out pursuant to a minister's directive issued in 1986, purportedly under Section 9(1) of the Printing Presses and Publications Act 1984. This confiscation was carried out despite the fact that Allah had been used by the Bumiputra Christians of Borneo for generations, for hundreds of years, long before the formation of Malaysia. The High Court further ruled that the prohibition violated Jill Ireland's right to freedom of religion under the Constitution and her right to equality under Article 8. Ladies and gentlemen, I now come to the conclusion of my lecture. In conclusion, I am of the opinion that our current constitution that declares Islam is the religion of the Federation. It does not mean that Malaysia is a theocratic Islamic state in the sense that its constitution or laws or system of government are based on Islamic principles. Malaysia is a secular state. It is borne out by its constitutional history, by the provisions of the Constitution, and by judicial pronouncements. The Article 3 declaration that Islam is the religion of the Federation merely places the religion of Islam as the nation's official religion. It merely places Islam on a higher pedestal as compared to other religions for ceremonial purposes. Any discourse among Muslims in this country on Sharia law, or any discourse between Muslims and non-Muslims on matters pertaining to religion must be conducted in a civil and dignified manner, in an open-hearted manner, and in the spirit of tolerance and in spirit of wanting to understand one another. Muslims should not label another Muslims as liberals or pluralists, just because some Muslims opt not to practice. Just because some Muslims opt to practice as moderate Muslims or have a different view on the practice of Islam. In any course on religion, emotions and irrationality must be put aside. The sacred must be distinguished from the secular. We must be clear on this in order to maintain national harmony. I repeat that we nations are multicultural, multi-racial, and multi-religious. This must be borne in mind all the time. Finally, every nations have a duty to preserve and protect the country as a secular nation, as enshrined in the Federal Constitution, and as envisaged by our forefathers in 1957 and in 1963. With that, I end my speech, and I say thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Dato' Sri Shamsuddin. He deserves another round of. In fact, I think if it was at the after dinner speech, he would have got a standing ovation. Thank you, thank you. As a student of both Nick Rashid and Ahmad Ibrahim, in real person, both of them. I welcome everything and I affirm that I was taught the same thing as a student in University of Malaya. Okay, now we're going to switch, and for the second part, I just want to make it clear. Each of these are respondents, they are speakers, but they're responding to the thesis. The thesis made by Dato' Sri Shamsuddin has been sent to all of them. So presumably they have read it and understood it, and they only have 3 minutes each to make their intervention. And I will follow time very strictly. Siti is already saying, yeah, but the bell will go and we will stop. Okay, so for that reason, you are only a respondent. Okay, the keynote speech has been given. So can I invite Dr. James Chin, who is coming in from Tasmania by Zoom. Time, and he has 3 minutes, and my timekeeper friend is already put his handphone on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? All right. So I would like to thank KJ, John, and GPM for the kind invitation to say a few words in today's proceeding. I apologize for not being able to be there with you in person. Let me start off by saying that the talk by Dato' Sri Shamsuddin was a very clear and precise defense of the secular state of the Malaysian Constitution. He has laid out in a systematic way the evidence to show that the Constitution is secular, and I don't think many of us in this room will disagree with him. I'm especially delighted that he devoted some time in his talk to the Malaysian Solidarity Consultative Committee, the Malaysia Agreement, and the background, including the Kobo report and the IGC report. As a scholar of the Malaysian Agreement and the Federation of Malaysia, I can tell that he is absolutely right when he said Islam was a major talking point during the period leading up to the signing of the Malaysia Agreement in 1963. The leaders from North Borneo and Sarawak were quite clear in the mind that when it comes to any institutional arrangements for Islam, it will only be applied to Malaya. The only thing they agreed to was the wording, and I quote, Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. Unquote. Some leaders, especially from North Borneo, understood the second part of that sentence to mean that there is freedom of religion in North Borneo after the formation of the Federation of Malaysia. Hence, you have the famous Batu Sumpat in Tengah. Let me speak as somebody who studied Malaysian politics, and given the time constraints, I will only have several points to make. First, since 2018, toxic politics in the name of Ketuhanan Melayu and Ketuhanan Islam has become the mainstay of Malay politics in Malaysia. Hence, things like the original intention of the constitution no longer matters. The debate is how to create a unique Malay Islamic state going forward. Secondly, there is what scholars call a silent rewriting of the constitution towards Islam. This has been going on for many years, but unfortunately, not many people are aware of it because it is done in a legal way. Third, there is a phenomenon of weaponizing of Islam in public discourse. Some people call this political Islam, but it essentially means that everything and anything connected has to be seen from an Islamic lens. As an example, the recent controversy over Bak kut teh as a national heritage dish. This also means that you cannot discuss Islam as an issue related to public policy, as it will be framed as an attack on the religion itself. In other words, it may no longer be possible going forward to hold any rational discussion of how Islam impacts on public policies and the common public space in Malaysia. Fourth, the old project of writing or rewriting Malaysian history into Malay history. This has been going on since the 1990s with the school history textbook issue, but with the event on the social media, especially in today's Malaysia, is getting really crazy out there. Many of you would have seen one famous or infamous Malay professor who keeps saying that the Malays are the oldest race on earth, while another Malay professor said the Malays are descended from the Middle East. You may laugh at this, but you'll be amazed by how popular their videos are on TikTok and Facebook videos. Fifth, Malay political leaders have given up challenging the religious establishment. The Islamic bureaucracy is now working with Islamic groups of society to take control of Malay politics, and they are on the ascendancy. Their ultimate aim is, of course, to rewrite the Malay constitution, the Malaysian constitution, to declare Malaysia as an Islamic state with Islam as the official religion. Many key Malay politicians are no longer in a position to challenge them as long as the Malay voting pattern is traveling in one direction. And finally, all these moves to change the basic structure of the Malaysian constitution is alienating many Sarawakians and Sabahans. The gulf between East and West Malaysia will grow bigger, and it is obvious to everyone in this room that Sarawak is now trying to work on the different path. Many people from Sabah and Sarawak, especially those who were born in the 1960s and 70s, feel that they did not sign up to the Malaysia that we see today. So what does this all mean? It simply means that we, the people of Middle Malaysia, must double down our efforts and recognize that there is concerted effort to change Malaysia fundamentally, and the key target is to change the Malaysian constitution. It is up to every one of us to defend the present constitution and to help everyone who's willing to listen the learned views of somebody like our keynote speaker today. Thank you.
Thank you. After this, I won't come up because the bell will be operating. Okay, and the announcement will be very clear. Double ring for second 2 minutes up and 3 minutes will be a double bell. Okay, next, can I invite Dr. Johan Arifin Samad, my good friend from Sabah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, KJ, to speak and respond to Attila Hashim's beautiful delivery of a secular state, and it's very enlightening. So, as speakers at the table, I'm under great pressure to cut our talk to 3 minutes, so we'll do our best. Munira has about 20 pages, but she has got it done. And Siti, I don't know, she'll go on and on. The famous verse in Ayah 256, Al-Baqarah in the Quran says there is no compulsion in religion. It's another lie in Malaysia. It's just like the English line that says that at the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold. There is a complex interplay, as we learned through the slides just now, between secular and Islamic states elements in Malaysia, particularly in regions like Borneo, and with the amendment of Sabah Constitution in 1973. I'm still trying to do the research on why Sabah State amended that particular or included that particular clause as being a state religion in the state. But there was some reasons which I know, but I still yet to confirm it. So the verse for Al-Baqarah, there is no compulsion in religion, underscores the principles of religious freedom and tolerance within Islam. When we always talk about Muslims and non-Muslims, but I think we should also talk between Muslims who are liberal, as you mentioned, Dato, and the hardliners who have a different view. So, that's so fast. I just want to talk about the warn your safeguards, freedom of religion. When we sign up, join Malaysia, the first point that we mentioned is freedom of religion. And that has been taken away from us. And by that sense, if you don't honor us, the founders, then I think we should leave Malaysia. Thank you.
If we say that Tasmania set the standard, Joe Saman cut it a bit more. What is panjang sikit? You can ask during question time. Okay. So next, can I have the privilege of inviting Sharifah Munira Alatas? I'm reading your sister's book, so I've been trying to make sure which one I'm talking about. Please.
Thank you, KJ, for inviting me. I'm going to be disobedient. I'm not going to take 3 minutes. Dato Sri's presentation was very clear to me, especially when I read it beforehand. And I would like to add on, if I may, specifically about relating the constitution that we have to the original Islam when it was first revealed, which is something we are not actually paying attention to in this country. So basically our federal constitution is in line with the fundamental philosophy of Islam, which meaning to say there is a separation of the state and religion. In the history of Islam, the marriage between Islam and the state was avoidable, but subsequently throughout the historical process, the state and Islam merged, which is why we speak of an Islamic state today. There are two early Meccan revelations that point to the fact that there is freedom to worship, freedom to choose to practice Islam or not. One of them says, "O unbelievers, I do not worship what you worship, and you do not worship what I worship. You have your religion, and I have mine." So this is verse 109, or chapter 109, verse 1 to 3 and 6. The notion of liberty is invoked here in this revelation, this early Meccan revelation. Another one reads, "Now the truth has come from your Lord. Let those who wish to believe in it do so, and let those who wish to reject it do so." And this is again chapter 18, verse 29. So this is a notion of coercion, no compulsion in religion, in Islam. Now, Islamic history teaches us about tolerance in a multi-ethnic society. Basically, it teaches us we are a multi-ethnic society in Malaysia. If we are really truly Islamic and good Muslims, as is always the phrase used, we would be tolerant of other religions. But most of our leadership appears ignorant of Islamic history, as seen by their false interpretation on many issues. Now, in my last 2 or 3 minutes, I would like to connect the federal constitution, Islam, and the Rukun Negara. Now, lately, before the 15th session of Parliament opened, our king had made a reference to our recognition and our respect for the Rukun Negara. They all provide, all three ideas or philosophies apply or provide for non-coercion and personal liberty. In early Islam, as I mentioned, the first political principle that Islam actually called for was liberty. The liberty to preach and practice one's own belief system. All the later drama that came forward in Islamic history, for instance, the Hijrah, the raids, the battles, the conquests, and subsequent Muslim empires, they emerged because liberty was assaulted. Liberty meaning the early Muslims were persecuted by the idolaters or the believers in idolatry. Now, this is the part of Islamic history we tend to ignore, we forget. Why did Islam develop the way it did and become what it is today? Islam's marriage with the state was not a divinely preordained destiny, but a historical accident. one more minute. I'll conclude. There are unresolved intellectual, political, and social concerns we have in Malaysia. We are still dealing with it. And I think for the next 20 to 50 years, we will continue. We will continue because we continue to neglect education. We continue to doctor history. We either doctor it or we remain ignorant of history. Malaysia also lacks political leaders who have a sense of ethics and morality. They may say they are Muslim and they will start fasting in 2 or 3 days. They go to Friday prayers, pray 5 times a day probably, maybe 10, some of them. But they are devoid of ethics and morality. The growing problems are due to our love for political parties. Now, this is my opinion. The love for political parties that are based on ethnicity and religion, rather than being based on the fight for social and economic justice for all Malaysians. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Hello? Yeah. Thank you, Sheriff. Next, I'd like to invite my good friend and colleague who we all fought for something together and all lost our deposit. Siti Kassim.
I'm running because I must, make sure I'm within the time, but I know I won't. So apologies in advance, KJ. Right. Thank you very much for inviting me for this. Anyway, straight on to what had been said from Judge Hishamuddin. As lawyers, we call our retired judge still as judge. Judge Hishamuddin presentation, he put forward 61% practices Islam. But how many really and truly practice Islam and believe in it? Tell me. I'm sure it's not all of them, because Muslims are not allowed to leave Islam in this country. Okay? Period. Full stop. Okay, out of a few people who applied, very few have been allowed to leave. And these are mostly converts. Born Muslim, I have not actually heard that they have ever been allowed to leave Islam. Going back to Judge saying Muslims shouldn't call other Muslim liberal or pluralist or whatever, but I've been called by our Prime Minister. I am super liberal, and I am a proud super liberal, okay? Now, I just want to say that, what happened to Muslims who actually come out from, trying to come out from Islam? I just want to give you 2 or 3 examples, maybe. One is an Orang Asli. Yeah, I'm supposed to speak about Orang Asli, but because the subject matter is mostly on the problem with the religion, okay? So there is one case in Pahang where the Orang Asli, the wife suddenly converted into Islam, but because of problems in their marriage. And suddenly this woman who lives in a jungle came out and converted into Islam, and of course the child's being converted into Islam as well, and she's suddenly wearing full niqab, covering her face and everything, and live in Terengganu. This person knows nothing about their Sawa, but anyway, she lives in Terengganu and defended by a group of lawyers. Okay, remember this when I say this, yeah? So why do you think that she managed to do this? It's because she's aided by a certain kind of group. Now, number 2 is about only recently, in February, one lady could not, the highest court declared that she cannot leave Islam. Okay, because she's a born Muslim, but never practiced Islam. she wants to convert into Confucianism and Buddhism. In fact, her mother declared in court as well that she's never actually practiced Islam, but she is confirmed in the federal court that Muslims in Malaysia are trapped. Okay, so that is one case. But the worst case is when this one Indian lady, she was born into a Muslim parent who converted, and instead of her life was good. She got married to an Indian guy, wedding under the Hindu ceremony, but the problem arises when she has kids, and then she cannot register her child, because they insist that the child must be a Muslim. So she went to court. She was trying to get out of Islam, but she couldn't. Instead of letting her out, they imprisoned her. Okay, she was sent to a rehabilitation center for 198 days. So that's the punishment coming forward to court trying to leave Islam in Malaysia. Does it jive with what Judge has presented? Of course not. Again, in Malaysia, if you want to marry a Muslim, you have to convert, right? You cannot, be a non-Muslim not to marry to a. So that is against UDHR, in which Malaysia is a signatory, and ICCPR for the right of people to live together, creating a family. But never mind about that, because Malaysia has their own Islam. Now, let me, why is it sensitive? Why is it sensitive? Because this word has been made as sensitive to the public. That kind of Islam that's being allowed to be taught in Malaysia makes it sensitive. And why is this happening? Because our government, whether this government or the previous governments, they are the same. They aided and actually helped to promote a certain kind of Islam. And this is because these politicians are utilizing it for their own purposes. Islam has been politicized and being used and abused by Malaysian politicians themselves. And this is the problem, okay? The problem is our politicians. Okay, don't forget that. Why we have all these problems is because the politicians, they refuse to not use religion. Look at our current government. They are still using the same thing in order to please the so-called majority. Okay, instead of not using Islam, they keep on trying to please the so-called majority. We have a problem. And I have an issue about Article 1211A. That is really the beginning of our problem. The problem between the jurisdiction of the Sharia and the civil court. 1988, who do you think actually amended this section? Our current Prime Minister, when he was in UMNO. Okay, he put forward to amend Article 1211A to include the precepts of Islam must go to Sharia. This is the beginning of the problem. This is actually being written by academics and all that. In fact, long time ago, I have spoken up about the use of religion in politics for so long, okay? And in fact, we are surprised why the Islamophobics are not using this section. But now they are getting smarter. They are using that section to say anything you mention about Islam must go to Sharia. And Sharia courts have their own problems. Even the problem with married women who wants to seek divorce, nafkah and all that cannot be resolved, and they want to go into other areas of law. So this is the key problem. And now our current government is setting up a committee so-called to ensure that there will be so-called harmonization between Sharia and civil. Watch that space, ladies and gentlemen, because that worries me a lot. Any kind of amendment to our constitution, we have to watch out. Because what they did before destroyed what we have right now. There is a fight between Sharia and our civil court. Now, I want to remind people that it is important that we keep track of what the government is doing in amending our constitution. Okay, because to me, Article 121A was the problem. Right now, we have a good batch of judges in our Supreme Court. But imagine in the future, if we have a new kind of judges, what are we going to have? They will interpret according to what? You know, because it's so easy for them to actually interpret according to what they want to see and what they want to achieve. And that's what judge has already said. Some judges even interpret it according to how they want it to be. So this is my worry for the future. The future of where this country is going. Nothing wrong with Islam, okay, to be honest. And to be honest, apostasy shouldn't be an issue. I just want to quote Surah 225:6 as well as Surah 4137. Please check what they say. Okay, in Terengganu, if you go for apostasy, you can be killed. But of course, they can't impose it right now because this is against our constitution. But if they manage to amend our constitution, that is when you start to worry, people. Okay, I do worry because I don't see the current politicians, opposition or government doing anything about the abuse of religion being used by the politicians for their own political benefit. I can't see any of them are willing to stand up against all these Islamopathy who want Malaysia to become a Taliban state. I can't see any of them. So, what is the solution, last one? What is the solution? Because you are all intelligent here, that's why you are here, to listen to our talk. So, what is the solution, people? In the next election, do not choose based on political parties. Do not choose based on logos. You choose the person to be your representative. Someone who dare to speak up in parliament for you, not to toe the party line. That is how we change. Otherwise, goodbye Malaysia. And if I have money, I will leave the country. I'm looking for somebody to work, sponsor me or help me. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope everything is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. So now you know why four of us tried to stand, but we still lost our deposit because you all financed us, but in the election, we all lost. Okay, finally, we have the last commentator, Ravi Sundaralingam, and he was also a GI candidate, and he's now a student studying comparative religion. So can I invite Ravi to make his intervention? Thank you. Ravi, you can clap.
Thank you, Young Larry, for a very fine presentation. It was an education for me also. So I had a question, and this question is, can a secular constitution protect all its citizens? You raised the argument that Malaysia is a secular nation and therefore secular constitution. So what I will do is I'll run through India's experience as a secular state and what dangers it presents to Malaysians. Next slide. See, India has a secular constitution since its independence in 1947. In a nutshell, it says that there can be absolutely no discrimination in the name of religion. Next slide. The government right now is run by a party called Bharatiya Janata Party, which is a ruling political party in India. Sadly, it shares the same ideological framework as, I can't pronounce this word, but the short form is called RSS, which in a nutshell is a right-wing Hindu nationalist volunteer paramilitary organization. That's what I understand the word RSS means. Next slide. So it is propagating an ideology called Hindutva. Okay, what is it? In a nutshell, it is Hindu supremacy or Ketuanan Hindu. Right? Now, any form of supremacy will result in some portion of its population enjoying superiority status, while another portion of the population gets to settle being inferior. That is a result of any form of ketuanan, whether it be religious or racial. So, in this Hindutva ideology, it says that an Indian national identity and culture is inseparable from Hinduism. In other words, Indian equal Hindu, Hindu equal Indian. Does that sound familiar? I'll let you connect the dots. So there exists a right-wing political movement to make India a wholly Hindu state. That means they want a religious state, no longer a secular state. Again, please figure out if this sounds familiar. Next slide. Okay, thank you. So what has happened is, in the state of Assam, a Hindu group linked to the BJP and RSS has given an ultimatum to Christian schools to remove crosses and other items unique to the belief system. And you can find that write-up over here. What has happened is that timeline has passed, and now they have taken legal action against these schools. It will be interesting to see what is the court's decision. If the courts favor them, then we know that the secular system is being challenged. We'll see what happens. This thing will go all the way to the Supreme Court, and let's see what happens. Next slide. The feedback I get from quite a number of my contacts throughout India, several things. First and foremost is Hindutva ideology is gaining momentum and moving towards religious intolerance. I was in India last September, and there were communal conflicts taking place which were religious based. It had to do with some ethnic or some religious group just happened to be carrying a certain type of meat with them that went out very badly, and people were killed over this. Second thing is that people live in fear and cannot speak up due to threats just because they say something different. So, and the ruling coalition does not respect the constitution for the simple reason is they have stayed totally silent on the Assam threats. What has happened in the state of Assam, both by the federal government, which is run by BJP, as well as the state government run by the BJP. Next slide. Over here is the demographics of Malaysia. The 2010 figures coincide with the young Arif's figures, and we can see a shift in the way things are moving. So the question that we need to ask is, how would a religious state affect minority groups, specifically in this country? And will the federal constitution continue to be respected? I would like you to think about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ravi. Short and sharp and kept to his time. And can I ask Dr. Sri Shambuddin, do you want to make any comments at this point or wait for questions? Wait for questions. Okay, we're going to shift gears and allow you to ask questions, but I won't be so nice if you take the floor and then give a khutbah, all directed towards a question. Fair enough, right? You want to ask a question. But let me put it simply. We all understand the context. That's what the 5-6 speakers have done, given us a context. So if you want to speak, get a mic. There's a caller's mic. Just ask a question. And you have really 30 seconds to ask a question. If you have not thought about it, don't ask the question. Because it's not a serious question. Okay? Lunch will be served, so don't ask questions about lunch. Thank you. So who wants to ask the first question? And after that, I will invite Dr. Sri Shambuddin in case the questions that need answers. You are the only one who has the privilege to answer. Otherwise, we will all mull the questions together. No, I'm not putting it on the spot. Okay? So who wants to ask a question? Straightforward question from all that you have heard. Yeah, you're next.
I want to ask Dato Sri Hishamuddin and all the panelists whether they agreed with Sharifah Munira, who has very eloquently highlighted the problem that in Malaysia, people do not understand the definition of secularism. Orang Melayu, kalau you kata secular, dia kata you are anti-religion. Whereas Sharifah Munira has made it very clear that we as in G25 study, we define it as the marriage. We do not allow the marriage between the state and the religion. Do the panelists agree, Sharifah?
Okay, that's the question. You all can think about it. Next question, please, Jana. We'll take 3 questions at a time.
Thank you. Just a specific question to Dato Sri Hishamuddin. What is the effect of the definition of Malay in the Article 160 interpretation on what you have said about as being a secular state?
One more question, then we'll invite. One more question, anybody?
You know, some of our friends here, we are worried about the trend coming from the West. Our churches are worried. I think our country, our Malay friends are worried of this LGBTQ movement. In the corporate sector, the IMF, World Bank sometimes do not want to release their loan, Uganda and some African countries, because of their anti-LGBTQ provisions.
Thank you. Okay, who wants to answer? Dato Sri. Okay.
Answer on the LGBT.
Siti. Okay.
I'll answer the LGBT question just now because I work closely with the community. First of all, I think in Malaysian context, you have to understand the trans women, basically the trans women, the Muslim trans women, the non-Muslims are never affected, okay? They are not touched. A lot of the Muslims trans women are the one being persecuted a lot by the religious authorities. They have been arrested because each state has different laws, and we are talking about Sharia law here, okay? The Sharia laws in each state are different. Like in Kuala Lumpur, you can be arrested for being a man dressing as a woman, doing something immoral. Then only you can be arrested. But in Negeri Sembilan, a man dressing as a woman, that's it, you can be arrested. So there are a lot of these problems with the Sharia enforcement in Malaysia towards the trans women. So this is why I think this is, and let me tell you, because I can't see any of my LGBT friends here, let me speak up for them. They never asked for anything. They never asked to have a right to be married, and all that. They only asked to leave them alone and let them live peacefully like any one of us. Is that really difficult to give? You know, they just go out and work, they get arrested. Just because they dress as a woman. You know, I mean, so really, please understand the Malaysian context. And this is where the international community are very much against the treatment towards the trans women, especially in Malaysia. The Muslim trans women, they are the most oppressed, okay, beside the Malays, of course, you know, the Malays are all oppressed. We are not allowed to eat what we want, we are not allowed to think, we are not allowed to drink what we want to drink, we are not allowed to think, okay? So, yes, that is the problem that we have right now with regards to this LGBT in Malaysia. I don't know about other countries, but in Malaysia, do not think they are asking for anything. They never demand for anything. They just want all this persecution towards them being stopped by the religious authorities. That's all. Yeah, so please understand that. Thank you.
Two questions here. I think the first one is Dr. Narimah from G25 commenting on Dr. Sharifah. On the issue of the word circular, yes, I understand. For some segment of Malaysians, especially it's on,
Yeah.
especially those who believe in extremism, religious extremism, they just don't like the word secular. Yeah. To them, secular is something that has a negative connotation. So is the word liberal. Liberal is a good word, it's a neutral word, but some of the religious extremists, they don't like the word liberal. They give liberal a negative connotation. We have, as Malaysians, we have to change this mindset of those people within us. We have to change this mindset, and to me, the only way to change the mindset is, for us to go and influence them. And the other thing is through education. Education from school days right until university. In school, we have to teach the children on human rights, on fundamental liberties, on the constitution, and about religion, the various religions in society, even from school right until universities. And university, right. That is a question by Dr. Nariman. Next, the question by the gentleman there. Division of Malay. Yes. To be a Malay, under the constitution, you have to be a Muslim, practice Malay culture, and born in Malaysia, and another one, your parents must be born in Malaysia. But what happens when a Malay, a Muslim, renounce his religion and embrace another religion? What happened to his Malayness? What happened? Yes, there's a big legal problem there. If he renounced Islamic religion, and the Sharia courts are very, very stingy in allowing such renunciation, as said by Siti Kasim. But in the event someone succeeds in getting to renounce his faith of Islam and become an agent of another religion, my view is that he ceased to be a legal Malay. He's still a Malay, legally, he's still Malay, yeah, but he's no longer a legal Malay. He's no longer a Malay as per the federal constitution. Perhaps. So I suppose that will be the consequences on a Malay renouncing this religion. Yeah, but I don't come across any difficulties where such thing happened before. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Three more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. My name is Shan from Kuala Lumpur. I noticed 2 days ago, the Kelantan State Assembly has unanimously reinstated the 16 struck off enactments. We seem to be heading to a head-on collision with the federal court decision. So what are your thoughts, sir? Thank you.
Wait, second question.
Hello, my name is Jimmy Teo. I have heard so much about, we are talking about problem. I'm very excited because of the, what you call, Dato Sri. He said, reach out to everyone. And actually, I want to throw a question to you, especially the organizing. that you can be the leader to make this movement so that everyone can reach out to everyone every day. I believe nothing is impossible. Thank you. This is the question. That can you do that? Yes.
Okay, nothing further.
Dato' Sri, earlier on, you mentioned that you were saying that, you know, what happens to a Malay who wants to renounce the religion? Well, I'm a Muslim, but I'm not a Malay. I'm from Sabah. I'm Dusun, very proud Dusun too. So what happens to my Dusun background if someone like me were to renounce? I know it's a bit difficult question. I was hesitant to ask because coming from Sabah, we've got our native court laws and all that, but the native court probably embrace that. But anyways, that's a question because I'm not a Malay, I'm a Dusun, right? But I was born a Muslim. Okay, like never asked for it, but I happen to be born a Muslim.
Thank you. Sorry, I think Dato' Sri Syamuddin, the ball falls at your feet.
I'm not sure for the second question that I have to answer. I think it's for Dr. KJ John to answer. The first question, yes, the first question, the state government of Kelantan passed a motion proposing to reenact the very same provisions that the federal court had declared unconstitutional for me in violation of the Constitution. I think this is a clear act of defiance, which shouldn't be done by a state government. They should respect the decision of the federal court. The state government of Kelantan should respect the federal constitution. What they cannot do, they just do. So, besides being an act of defiance, it is also an act of futility. Since the federal court has declared that the provisions are unconstitutional, you can reenact it 10 times. It doesn't change. The legality, the constitutionality doesn't change. It remains a dead letter in the law books. Unenforceable. So, recently it was just a motion, and I don't know what is the state legal advisor of the Kelantan doing. He should be advising the state government of Kelantan, look, you can do that. Yeah, you can go against the federal constitution. You can go against the federal court. Yeah. He should be advising. I don't know. He might be advising. I don't know for all. And for that, I know he advised, and the state government just ignores him. Yeah. So that is a position. Now there is a clause, an article in our federal constitution. It is Article 71. Article 71 states where a state government habitually violates the constitution, Parliament may pass a law to secure the state government, to ensure that the state government, to secure the state government to comply with the constitution. So perhaps it is here a case, it's never happened before, a case where Parliament should pass a law because there's a habitual violation by the state of Kelantan. So it is here where Parliament should pass a law to ensure that the state of Kelantan abides with the federal constitution. Thank you. Now the third question is about a Dusun who is a Muslim and renouncing Muslim, am I?
What? It's not Malay. Let's say she renounced, what happened?
Yeah. Malay is a different situation. Malay, because the Malay, who is a Malay is defined in the constitution. So when a Malay Muslim renounces religion, there is personal and legal implications. But for the Dusun, I don't think there is any legal complication, legal consequences that follow. So you are a Muslim today, you have renounced and you have embraced a Christian, Christianity?
No, it's a hypothetical
Oh,
question.
sorry. Hypothetical question. I see, thank you, sorry. There is no legal consequence. It's just a matter of a changing of religion. Yes, yeah. But of course, you have to go, I'm not sure what is the procedure in Sabah.
Yes.
There is a procedure for renunciation. If there's a procedure for renunciation, then you have to go to the Sharia court and apply to renounce your Islamic status. Thank you.
May I invite Dr. James Chin? I think he has a comment to make. Go ahead, James.
Thank you very much, Peter. I don't have any real comment other than question about whether the public understands the difference between a secular state and an Islamic state. Is it a matter of public education? My answer to that is the public actually understands very clearly, but there was an increasing percentage of the Muslim population in Malaysia who are clamoring for more Islam in the public space. In other words, if you look at the voting pattern, it is quite clear. The only product that is selling is that there's more Islam in governance and in the public space. I'll just add on to what Dr. Sri was talking about the renunciation process. Sarawak state actually passed, the latest state to pass a process of renunciation. I think it was passed sometime around 2018, 2019. Very often it is not the process itself. It is the people in the system who manage the process of renunciation who makes it almost impossible for a Malay Muslim person to renounce from the process. And they put out so many roadblocks that even though it's on paper, when you actually work through the process, it cannot be done. That is my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Dr. Joe, Dr. C. Shamudi wants to comment.
Sorry, I just remember. Sorry,
I just remember. This is relating to the state of Sabah. In the state of Sabah, if you want to renounce Islam, there is a big problem. Go to the court. The court will ask you to repent and give some time, then get back to the court to say that you have repented, you have renounced, you want to be back to Islam. Yes, then it'll be okay, all is forgiven. But if you are determined, if you still want to renounce Islam, you will be detained. You'll be detained indefinitely until you renounce, until you repent. You'll be detained indefinitely until you repent. And I think such a provision, I don't know how it gets into the law of Sabah. I think such a provision is unconstitutional because a Sharia court has got no such power to order the detention of a person who was renounced until the person repents. It is an unconstitutional provision. Thank you.
Thank you, KJ. I really hate you because you gave the two ladies more time than. But again,
Because we rebel.
it's Women's Day today, so.
Oh, yesterday.
Okay, my question to Dr. Hisham is to use the word Allah between this Malaysia, Buddhism nation, and as you know, the government has allowed words to be used in Borneo. But when the person crosses over to Buddhism Malaysia, they're not. How is this from the law perspective applied or how is it impossible?
Judge, I have a question with regards to the Kelantan, so-called proposal to reenact. Now, let's say they reenact. In fact, currently there are few states who have these unconstitutional provisions. So what if, let's say, majority of the people who are being charged in the Sharia courts are actually the poor Malays, the Malays who don't know about their rights. So they wouldn't know about the illegality of this provision that they have been charged. So let's say the state continue charging these people without these poor victims knowing that the law that's been used against them are illegal. But the state went on and charged them and persecute them, and they then after that, then only later on they realize, oh, I've been charged with an illegal law. What can they do when it comes to that situation? Now, on the fact of, I think that's all of my questions. Yeah, thank you.
On Dr. Johan's questions, well, the High Court, Justice Norby in Jill Arden's case has made it clear that any Christian has regardless whether from Borneo, from Borneo State or from Semenanjung, has constitutionally the right to say the word Allah for religious purposes. There's nothing in her judgment that say, oh, that freedom to say the word Allah only for East Malaysian Christians, but that right is not extended to a Malaysian Christian. That judgment is for everyone. It's freedom of religion. If you cannot divide according to geographical location. So the Constitution does not work that I remember, of course, in the day after the judgment, I think our Prime Minister says, hanya boleh dipakai di East Malaysia saja. I remember that well. Due respect, that is not right. That judgment applies to all Christian, wherever you are in this country. That's question. The question. Your question is, an unconstitutional law is unenforceable. It's unenforceable. So I just hope that good sense will prevail. I just hope that good sense will prevail and the state of Kelantan or whatever state it is will not enforce a law on the citizens when they know very well that the courts has pronounced that the law is a violation of the federal constitution and therefore they are bad laws. Bad laws, unwritten laws are not enforced. And should they have the temerity, the audacity to enforce this law on the citizens will have the right to challenge it in the courts. Yeah. And in the course, because of the process of enforcing these laws, the citizen suffers harm. Subsequently, when they are acquitted, they can file an action against the state government for the thought of malicious prosecution, and here where lawyers like Siti Kasim will come in. Right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. All that remains is for us to recognize the speakers and interveners, keynote speaker. Thank you. I think we are running out of time, sorry. I told lunch must be served at 12:30 and we're just sticking to time, okay? And most of your questions can be asked one-on-one with Dr. Sri Shamsuddin, because they may not reflect a general issue of a high proportion, I think. So with that, I'd like to invite our partner in crime here, Stanley Yong, to help me give away the gift at the table. So Stanley, yeah. Yeah, just go. Dr. Sri Shamsuddin Yunus, thank you. Next is Dr. Johnny Saman. Next is none other than our Siti Kasim. Next is to Dr. Sharifa Munira. Next is Brother James Chin. Okay, you know, we'll have to find somewhere to pass it over to you. Okay. And last but not least, Ravi Sudolino. With that, friends, I would like to say that if he was in a hotel, you would have got music and some performance, but I would say that lunch is served. Take your time, we have from 12:30 to almost 2 o'clock. There's enough food for everybody, get to know others, mix around. We are a community of people who want to protect and preserve the fellow Constitution. Thank you so much. Thank you.